This is 1401 South Union, Kenneth, Washington, the Social Security office in Kennewick, and also direct deposits for death certificates. Mrs. Andy Miller, and Washington State Prosecutor that carries the COVID-19 policy regulations.
This is Chris.
Yeah, Chris, is there a way that I can connect from Mueller's funeral home? I called Andy Miller, the prosecutor. I got a death certificate. Ownership,
okay.
Ownership's here on the Rest Haven.
Hold on just a moment.
I need a Katie.
You did. There's some hurt. You tripped. He's at the police station having a call from you. He got the ownership. He's called the cops on you.
Are you still there?
Yeah, I was waiting patiently. Is there a way that I can talk to Katie, and that's Bernie, and that's Randall? Is there a way I can take care of all this at one time and leave a message? And she's gonna be in the office at 8 o'clock, right?
One moment, I'll transfer you.
Is it freedom of podcast on you? We did. That's fake.
Sorry. Katie Randall Bernie is not available. Record your message at the tone. When you are finished,
That's his wife.
Or press pound for more options.
Yeah, Bernie, Randall, Katie, Bernie, Randall, Katie, Randall, Bernie, Washington State Patrol Office. I'm at the Mueller's funeral home. I got a death certificate and ownership and services right here on a tax form that's in the mailbox here at Mueller's 1401 South Union. Got the transaction reports in on URL, and transaction reports and services, and all the information needed to the rest home. That's Air Force One and Marine One. The Pentagon arrangement, but they moved the property to another, but it's a platform, the original platform administration office at 801, I'm sorry, yeah, the Jadwin Federal Courthouse, and in Richland. That's Andy Miller, prosecutor, Patty Mary, Miss Cantwell, and these signatures from the federal judges, the state judges, and the judges they have in the administration office, and the sessions as we speak. So I need to take care of it right now. That'd be awesome. I'm going to submit it from here. And I'll talk to you at the City Hall in Kennewick at the police station, because that's where I went to fill these forms out. And this administration COVID-19, I'm going to call in the Social Security office and agents to show up here and show up at your office right now, so we can take care of it at this matter, because it's face-to-face. Ownership and the Department of Licensing would love to see you. You do it. He sprayed you because you told him to leave.
Goodbye.
I didn't touch him. I just called the cops on you. Your dad cried, okay? What'd you do that for? That's his birth certificate. He said he got you for forgery and you're sitting there bothering him. He sprayed him in his face. He just called the state troopers on you to leave. He did. He's done. He's identified good. Yeah, he did. He was smarter than he went in and identified him. He's in the courthouse and he walked. He did that. He was getting too close to him and he walked. I didn't touch him, okay?
Prosecuting Attorney's Office. You know your party's extension? Please press
He's
1
waiting for
now.
the bus.
Our regular operating hours are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday.
I did not recognize that as a valid
He called the
entry.
cops on you.
You have reached the Benton County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. You know your party's extension? Please press 1 now.
Wait while I transfer your call.
You have reached the desk of Andy Miller. Please leave a message. Thank you.
Record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up or press pound for more options. To send this message, press pound or hang up. To play it, 3. To re-record it, 4. To add to it, 5. To discard it, 6. Record your message at the tone, then press pound.
Yeah, Andy Miller, I just called the State Patrol office to leave a message with Katie Burney. And that's Katie Randall Burney. Katie's K-A-T-I-E, Randall A-R-A-N-D-E-L, Burney B-E-R-N-I-E. Randall Burney, that's Katie Randall Burney. At the Mueller Funeral Home at the Office Max for the broken laptop that's been taken in to Office Max today and yesterday. I'm at Mueller's Funeral Home. I got the property deeds and services in possession and the service that you have them at the Mueller's Funeral Home and the signatures and Social Security office and the Department of Motor Vehicles, which I gave you copies yesterday. You did.
To send this message, press pound or hang up. Your message has been sent. If you would like to try an extension, you may do so now. Goodbye.
stole his fuel. He told you to get the fuck out of here. He's calling Andy Miller, telling him to pick him up here. He's got to shoot you. Okay. How did you do that? The prosecutor did here.
You know your party's extension? Please press 1 now.
Wait while I transfer your call.
You have reached the desk of Andy Miller.
Oh, really?
Please leave a message. Thank you.
Record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up or press pound for more options.
Yeah, Andy Miller at the funeral home. So I'll be at the federal courthouse at 825 Chadwick, which is the Richland Federal Courthouse, and Mueller's funeral home. I got a death certificate.
Press pound or hang up to play it. 3 to re-record it. 4 to add to it. 5 to discard it. Record your message at the tone, then press pound.
Andy Miller, I got a death certificate. Roberta.
To send this message, press pound or record your message at the tone, then press pound.
I got Roberta Barela, Lola Hernandez, and the death certificates for Fabian Barela at the Rest Haven Services, and Jay Mueller is the funeral director and service and the owner and services. I got his headstone and services. I got the mausoleum, the niches, the concrete liner, the Monticello, the monarch, the headstones, the granite stones, the concrete, the rainbirds that filled with concrete, blocking, concrete poured. We got pea gravel and the concrete, Portland concrete. We got the fuel that's missing from the Kenneth law firm. So I'm here. So, you know, I've been waiting for you. I've been calling State Patrol Office and Services. Birth certificate, death certificate, first name, and the birth certificate that's been submitted. I'm over here at the on the property line with my first and my last name and ownership on it, and I got the deed right here. You're on recorded video. You're on video right here, so I'll be waiting for you because Jay Mueller, Amy Mueller, the Highlands of Kennewick High School, Southridge, the City Hall that's recorded, and then Kennewick, and then the police station is recorded, and also the Trios building, inside the Trios building where their expansion. So I'll be waiting for you. You know where the location's at, the ownership, right? The original Pentagon and services they said, they don't even own it. And the headstones and curves, we're gonna pull the body out, take the body out, and we can take the backhoe, you know, the PTO and the fuel hydraulic hoses from John Deere, from the JD 310 from John Deere and Othello, and here in Moses Lake, and over at the, here in Pasco, and the Case Company, United States Army Case at the Sunset Acres and Administration Office, here in Othello, Washington, all that property at Sunny Farms.
To send this message, press pound or hang up. To your message, if you would like to try an extension, you may do so now. Goodbye.
Go after him. He had a laptop on him. You know, the services they have people getting attacked, and then how you protect yourself in ways, services, the policy and regulation and services, and the service they had at the administration office, and the policy and regulations of Mr. Andy Miller, Watch State Prosecutor, and calling the conversation, making the conversation, and picking up the dead body and deceased body and the array of services because they never filled the forms out. The people that filled the forms are guilty of murder itself. People that sign documents that don't belong to the contents of information of the House Administration Office, the car, the vehicle, the sub-housing, the checking accounts, the direct deposits, the Social Security office, going to Social Security, the Social Security card itself, his first name, last name, and services with the URL. And the cremator, the urns, and the morals that they have on the granite headstones. You know, the location and services they have at the Service and Administration of COVID-19 Policy, Regulation, and Service, carrying a COVID-19 Administration Office that carries the Administration Office to its Administration Service at Mr. Mueller-Sprino. The first name, last name, and you have a body as a C, so they figure they can get away with signing contracts and services with any of the membership service, and we got a location there of ownership and services. When you have a location of ownership service, they record all the information and sort the information and move the headstones, take its speds, rotate it, puts the sprinkler heads, rotate it, make some hubs, locations, and services, and take the headstones administration office literally and put it back into a level or plateau with extra soil and services and material that's been added to the administration office and sorted out without the entire funeral home. And the COVID-19 policy, regulation, and service applying to the administration office that carry the COVID-19 policy, regulation, and service, people that make things up. Now, the service and center applying the COVID-19 policy, regulation, and service at the administration office carries the administration office to its professional level at Mueller's funeral home. Now, J. Mueller's funeral home, the backlog information, the EFT transaction and services applying the COVID-19 policy, regulation, and services that deal with the administration office and carry the COVID-19 policy regulations with declarations of independence and service applying the COVID-19 and Social Security office. You have recorded information carrying the services applying the COVID-19 policy and regulations, the platform. And I mentioned this platform, and he rolls his window up, he rolls his window down, rolls his window up, rolls his window down. You know, his threats and conversations and services. Look at me now, I'm recording all this information. Called the State Patrol office, called Mr. Andy Miller, called the Social Security office. Now we're calling the police on the police department in City Hall because, you know, I was in City Hall filling forms out in front of Andy Miller. I did it 3 times. Did it on video, did it on URL, did it inside his office, come back and forth to the office, coming back inside the entranceway, back into its way, into the federal courthouse. Now there's a post office at the federal courthouse at 825 Chadwick in Richland, Washington, the COVID-19 policy regular, the Kennedy building. Now this service there where Mr. Kennedy himself walked on the grounds of Mueller's funeral home, of course. And his hearse and his services and his COVID-19 policy regulations and presidential primary, Fred Trump. We got Trump administration office in Rest Haven. We got Rest Haven mausoleums. We got parkers, people that want to move in different locations and move their things around as their service, applying the niches and the mausoleum for $10,000. So those monuments and services carrying the COVID-19 policy, regulation, and service at the administration office that carries the service, when you call Andy Miller, prosecutor, Washington State, the COVID-19 policy, regulation, and services dealing with the administration office. Of course, Mr. J. Mueller himself drove Felix in a Suburban and a Denali, of course. But you know why? Because this says 1917, 1992, 1914, 1999, and 98. I got all the information and download information and titles right here. As you can see, we got the title and services, the mail post office mailbox, the administration office, department license department, the CDL qualifications in Moses Lake, Washington for $35 a piece and $25 a piece for modifications on CDLs. That's opportunity to be raised on October 21st, 1972. Of course, it's my birth certificate, array of service and plan of COVID-19 policy regulations. Now the transport, the mausoleum, the concrete liners, double depth liners, the monarchs, the headstones, modifications for $35 a piece. Aerial demonstration in Moses Lake at the GTA 5th and Division, which is the GTA 5th and the bus barn international, called Larson Air Force Base. Now back a long time ago, John F. Kennedy was assassinated 2 months after he left Richland, Washington. Mueller's funeral home. Go figure, Mueller's funeral home. John F. Kennedy had a speech on platform, and they assassinated him 2 months later. And this is J. Mueller, Amy Mueller, Highlands Middle School, Fruitland Middle School, Hawthorne Hill Middle School, Highlands Middle School, Southridge, Kennewick High School, Richmond Bombers, University of Washington, that's Mr. Andy Miller, University of Washington State, University of Washington, Seattle, Washington, Mr. Bill Gates Foundation, Mrs. Bill Gates, and Mrs. Bill Gates had a little divorce because my laptop has the birth certificate, the services of ownerships, and marriage certificates, and also EFT transaction to all the bank accounts with the Social Security office at 8131. Used to be moved, they moved it to Klamath, Cincinnati. You notice they took the niches out. This other one went to Gage. There's the Social Security office in California, Social Security office in California. There's a 1914, 1990. There's the proof. Felix Barela driving around in a hearse with Jay Mueller in a white Suburban and a Denelli. And his services, the COVID-19 policy regulation services. Somebody stole some fuel from the McKenna Law Firm. Somebody stole some fuel, and there's a premium unleaded at the ExxonMobil called Circle K here on 10th and Union, Mueller's funeral. Now, 10th and Union carried this COVID-19 policy regulation and services. The policy regulation carried the administration office to its key uppermost service of the bureaucratic and service of Democratic and Republican and Democrat parties. We did that at the Trios building. We signed those documents and we walked to City Hall in Kennewick, walked the police station, walked the police station twice, before and after the event, where how they start insinuating, start conversations. And also the 1932, 1938, 1914, Gibson, Charles, Melvin Gibson, Corrias, Buckford, Jan Meek, 1932, John Comer, 1900, Norman E., 1920, 1931, 1910, Marble, Rama, Harvey, Leo, Dalquist, 1899, 1922, 1893, Sarah, Adela, Levin, Sarah, 1890, Sarah E. Denny, 1894, George, Brent Barcott, Max, 1920, 1903, Leah, 1915, 1920, 1911, Carly and Lynn Clayton, Mary Livette Smith, 1917, 1914, John Winkler, Justin Winkler, John New Leffer, 1908, 1980, 1904, 1893, Mary Harry Kramer, 1898, Edith E. Bradley Leslie, 1900, Curly, 1952, 1953, Curly, 1914, 19 Lewis, Velma, 1890, Elvin, 1929, Velma, Ray E. Deek, 1920, 1973, 1898. Now, Donald Trump's body and his arrangement is in this funeral home. Donald Trump is the President of the United States, and his body remains at the Rest Haven. Mr. Andy Miller, prosecutor in his service, Mr. J. Mueller, body remains here at the Rest Haven location. This platform and service I have, the administration office, the COVID-19 policy and regulations, carrying the administration office to its monumental service. We got the location of service of COVID-19 policy regulations. Now, Cynthia, 1951. Amy Jo, half 1952. 1886, Miller J. Jones. William G. Lent, 1909. 1930, Jack Hose. 1930, 1919, Bertha Roper, Melton Roper. Andy Johnson, 1964. Bonnie J, 1934, 1930. Sherry, 1940. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 locations on the east side, the west side, east and west side of the building. Now, 825 Jadden Federal Courthouse carried the COVID-19 policy regulations service and applying the COVID-19 policy regulations. We got space arrangement on east-west side of the building. So we got this man, Eric Benson, Dale Johnson, Leonard Bandbach, and Mr. Andy Miller Watson, and Mrs. Patty Merce Cantwell. This location of the burial services for the original presidents of the United States, the presidents of right here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 locations on the side. Overlooks the administration office of the COVID-19 policy, regulation, and services administration office. J. Miller's Funeral Home, Rhonda Kaiser, 83, the Pioneer Way. The funeral home services, the COVID-19 policy, regulation, and services. The open caskets, the peeling of the spade, administration of COVID-19, rotating the sparklet, the rainbirds, pouring concrete, and the Portland concrete, and the pea gravel, the administration office, the entranceway of the first president of the United States of America that presides. And the corruption they have, the administration at Miller's Funeral Home, and the services they have, the COVID-19 policy, regulation, and services. Now the cemetery, the raised services, the caskets, the urns, the cemetery services, the COVID-19 assessments, the sharing, the headstones, the soil, the material that exceeded the administration office of COVID-19 policy, regulation, and services that carried the administration office to the stationary service of COVID-19 policy, regulation, and service. Now Donald Trump and Mueller administration on the corruption of the Army, Navy, Air Force, where the Pentagon Raymond Services and Mr. Senator McCain, Rest Haven, was dropped off here at the administration office. This Rainbird, the concrete, the COVID-19 policy, regulation, and services, and the administration office that carried the administration, Ajmer Singh Nijjar, CIMARON5 UBI number 602-720-979. Now, the services they have, the administration of the COVID-19 carries the COVID-19 policy, regulation, and service that has a exemplary services of recording your information. Mr. McKinnon, Mr. Chadwick, Kenneth Chadwick, 56 Cecil Northwest, p.o.bbox 42. That paper says fuck you, F-U-C-K-Y-O-U on it, because there are a bunch of pussy administration COVID-19 policies coming to the headstones and coming to their urns, and coming to their headstones and coming to the caskets and urns, and services applying the COVID-19 policy, regulations, and services, and taking fuel for the administration office from the McKenna law firm, and trying to steal the tractor, and then try to steal the Ford tractor and the John Deere tractor, and then they come into the music room and try to steal a cremator, and taking the cremator, which was $80,000. Now the Hells Angels showed up, which was $80,000 for agency to make sure the Hells Angels leave Kennewick, Washington. So we show up to City Hall in Kennewick. We show the City Hall, administration office, the first name, last name, and ownerships of the services that carry on the UBI number and services. We got bodies spread it out at Mueller's Funeral Home on the sign, the back entranceway. See, they ain't allowed to do that. Why? Because Jay Mueller's and Amy Mueller has been taken advantage of, because we got all this download system administration office, COVID-19 policy, regulations, and services here